Jennifer Richards Wilson, and I am the founder of Activate Core. I am an ICF transformational coach and author, and also an educator. I am originally from the parish of St. Thomas in Jamaica, but now I reside in the beautiful country of China. And it is wonderful to see you here today again to join us. We had our first conference in China on April 27th. Then we had our second staging in the UK on May 25th. And now we are in the beautiful country of Jamaica. And despite the impact, the effects that Hurricane Beryl had, we are still launching out to build wealth for women and men. We are still encouraging persons to build spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, financial, social, and generational wealth. So we are here. We encourage our entrepreneurs to join, to promote their services, to reach out to our coaches, consultants for help. You don't have to do it alone. There is help for you. And one of such help is from the Integrated Diaspora Services. And this morning we have Mr. Stanley Ford, who will be opening up this conversation for us at this time. So, Mr. Ford, welcome, and it's great to have you. Those who are just joining us, thank you for coming on. Please use the chat room. Tell us where you're coming in from. You can post your questions, your queries. You can make suggestions. Just be active as we embark on this journey of building wealth for women. So, Mr. Ford, take it away. You have it. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jennifer. Very interesting. I was in Jamaica just about 2 weeks ago, and I met a Jamaican teacher who is stationed in China, but she was there on vacation for a while. So I see we are all over. Okay. I just want to thank you for this opportunity to share on behalf of IDS. The CEO, Nordia Teep, got in touch with me yesterday and asked me if I could fill in for her on this. So I gladly accepted this. So if you will allow me to just share so I can put up the flyer for IDS. Okay, sure. There we go. Okay. Are we all seeing that? Okay, thank you.
Yes, we can see that. Go ahead.
Very good. Okay, IDS. What is IDS? Integrated Diaspora Services Limited was spawned from a deep passion and desire to assist persons around the world who want to do business in Jamaica. The company was launched in March 2021 in the presence of the State Minister in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Senator the Honorable Leslie Campbell. And from the get-go, IDS began to make itself felt in Jamaica and abroad, earning it the name, the one-stop shop, because of the range of services offered. Now, Integrated Diaspora Service is, in essence, provides a one-stop information hub in partnership with local and international service experts who provide transaction assistance to nationals and non-nationals alike. Those are for persons who wish to do business, as mentioned before, in Jamaica, the Caribbean, or in the countries where they currently reside. The current scope of transactions include, but are not limited to, legal matters. For example, property, titles, getting titles for land, etc., criminal, civil litigation, immigration matters, etc. Now, we also are involved in branding and marketing, social business proposals, social media marketing, web creation, and maintenance. So as you can see, and that's just a half of it, wide range. We're also involved in business registration. So if you wanted your business registered as a sole proprietor, trading as or a limited liability company, then IDS will walk you through the process. We'll take on that for you. We're also involved in charity registration. And I found out some time ago, charity registration of a company is not quite as straightforward, as easy as it is, and it takes a long time. But with the help of IDS, that process can be made much smoother and can save a lot of unnecessary headache and heartache, as we say, as they walk through the process. We're also involved in government-related transactions, such as TRN. For persons who want to do business in Jamaica, you must have a TRN number. And so we will help in acquiring the TRN or in renewing TRN for persons who had it before. We are also in acquiring and renewal of driver's license. Yes, not acquiring. We help in the renewal of driver's license. We help in citizenship matters, passport renewal assistance in getting police records, permits, and approvals for certain things. Now, I remember when I just joined IDS, one particular, I switched back to the TRN matter. A young man was coming up from Trinidad to work in Jamaica, and of course, when to work there at the Edna Manley school, he had to have a bank account in Jamaica. And to open the bank account in Jamaica, he needed a TRN number. And so it was, and he was singing praises to IDS for helping him to get the TRN very quickly, and so he could open his bank account and get started. IDS is also involved in construction and property-related services, such as the buying and selling, insuring, surveying, valuating, and the maintenance of property. So if you want to buy property in Jamaica, we will walk you through the whole process. Finding the land, doing the surveying, doing the valuation, the mortgage qualification, etc. We also are involved in leases as well as long and short-term rentals. So we manage that. We are involved in training and certification services, including the work and study abroad program. And of course, we are also involved in transport and logistics, such as airport pickups and drop-off. And we also are engaged in shipping. So if you have something to be shipped to Jamaica or out of Jamaica, IDS can also assist in that. IDS is consistent, hand up, oh sorry, an applause, okay. IDS is consistently involved in various diaspora events and missions yearly across the UK, Europe, the USA, and Canada. Earlier this year, the team, in collaboration with the Victoria Mutual Group, embarked on a tour across the northeastern USA. Currently, the team is in Canada, and they just completed a week-long tour, the VM Mission 24. This saw the team, along with other organizations from Jamaica, such as PICA and JAMPRO, serving and assisting hundreds of persons in the diaspora across Toronto and Montreal. The team will remain in Canada for the independence celebration in an effort to inform more persons about our services and to assist as many as possible. IDS continues to partner with various associations and churches in an effort to assist many globally. IDS is indeed a dynamic company providing needed service in an urgent, secure, and trustworthy manner. Now, you can connect with us globally through our ambassadors who are strategically placed around the world in the USA, in Canada, in the UK, Europe, Ghana, and Myanmar, all the way in the Far East, or just directly with the company at the numbers and the email that you see on the flyer there. What I will do, I will upload the flyer and my contact detail in the chat once I'm finished here. The ambassadors are like the link between the company and yourself. So at any time you can contact one of them or contact the company. So don't hesitate, just give us a call. Right? Again, just a few words on ideas. I will just ask you say thanks again on behalf of Nordia, and do have an interesting and enlightening Ideas Day. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Ford. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And there are so many Jamaicans out there in the diaspora who will be contacting your company for your services. And I know that those of us here in China have been using this service. And of course, we reiterate there is support for our entrepreneurs, for our business people out there. You don't have to do it alone. There you have Ideas, your one-stop shop. Thank you, Mr. Ford. You can stop sharing at this time.
Thank you, and you're welcome. Okay, I'll stop sharing now.
Yes. So for those who are just joining us, I am Jennifer Richards-Wilson, and I'm your host. I'm the founder of Activate Core, and we are here on our third leg of our Hope Conference for building wealth for women and men, building spiritual, emotional, physical, financial, social, and generational wealth. At this time, we're going to move a little deeper into the conversations about what our diaspora has to offer for people, not just in Jamaica, but for those of us who are in China, the UK, USA, and other places, because Jamaicans are everywhere. And more we find Jamaicans who are moving into areas of entrepreneurship. So we want to invite a dynamic speaker, or first speaker for today, Mrs. Diana Howell. Diana, are you there?
I am here. Can I be heard?
Yes, that's wonderful. It's good to have you here with us. And Diana is the director of the Tree of Eternal Life. She is an educator, she's a business woman, and she has so many years of service in helping small businesses to become established. At this time, she'll be having her session with two other dynamic speakers, and we invite them at this time to share. Go ahead, Mrs. Powell.
I would just like to say thank you again, Jennifer, for inviting me back to the Hope Conference. And I remembered the China conference, which is fantastic. And I participated in the UK conference. So we're going globally with the Hope Conference. And now we're here in Hope Conference, Jamaica.
Yes.
So what are you going to be talking about today? So today's segment, it's more going to be a conversation around the diaspora, the Jamaican diaspora. And I want to say thank you to Mr. Stanley Ford for your opening. I think your organization is actually is some of the solutions in supporting those in the diaspora. And I would also welcome you to participate, sir, in this segment. So the conversation today is going to speak about the value of the diaspora on the economic development of Jamaica. And, you know, there's been many conversations over years in terms of the diaspora's involvement, whether it's been the diaspora who has left Jamaica post-war Britain, or it's diaspora that's been moving around recently in terms of education and training and working in all sorts of capacities and all around the world. And we've seen diasporas in terms of how they've interacted with mainland countries. Like, for example, you can take the example from China, where when China developed their economy, their citizens went all over the world and they trained and they worked and they brought the money and the knowledge back into the country to build China. So our conversation today is going to look at the economic development of Jamaica, but looking at it from a particular perspective and looking at the diaspora's involvement. And I would like to welcome in this discussion, and I also like to say if there are any questions along the line, please put them in the chat room. And if Jennifer, if you can help me, perhaps if I miss some of the questions, if you can help me to ask those questions in terms of those who are listening in, and if they would like to participate in this conversation as well. So I would like to also invite our two additional speakers, Mrs. Marcia Jackson and also Dr. Audie Cummins. And what I'm going to do at this point, I'm going to let them introduce themselves and we will then start the discussion. So it's going to be like a roundtable discussion, and I'm going to kind of pose certain questions around the main theme and around the main topic, or the value of the diaspora in Jamaica's economic development. So I'd like to welcome first Mrs. Marcia Jackson. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, good afternoon, morning, night, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me to this wonderful event. I'm Marcia Jackson. I'm living in the UK. I am a business owner. My business is Candor Property Services, and I've pretty much been back in Jamaica. Well, I was raised in Jamaica, but I've been back in the UK since 2006. So I'm a grandmother, got 3 grandchildren, and yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Thank you, Marcia. And Dr. Audie Cummins would like to introduce yourself. Sorry, you're on mute. Dr. Cummins, can I be heard? You're on mute. Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, just worked it out. New advice. Yeah, thank you, Diana, for inviting me to be interviewed on your program. And I just wanted to introduce myself as Dr. Waldo Cummings. And in terms of my involvement with Jamaica, I work with the task force in terms of the reduction of crime between both Jamaica and London, but also as a management consultant working in the Docklands, living with my wife and 4 children and grandchildren. And we're basically working very ubiquitously in a very broad scope in commodities, and also facilitating leadership and mentoring for business leaders. And we're pleased to be able to be here today and to engage and share so that others as well as ourselves are able to share a little bit about what we do. It's a great privilege, and thank you.
Thank you for that. So when we're looking at this question, and as I said before, I'd like to also invite Mr. Stanley Ford from the Diaspora Service, Integrated Diaspora Service, if he's available to also come on this conversation. And we're talking about the value, yes, of the diaspora on the economic development. When we speak about the numbers, we're talking about nearly 3 million of those who are considered the diaspora, Jamaican diaspora across the globe, and they reside in the US, Canada, Middle East, Far East, Europe. As considered, I'm also considered part of the diaspora, and I'm in the Middle East, and there is a strong Jamaican community here also. But there is always a conversation about the diaspora's contribution, and I want to kind of explore with you both, and also take some questions of what exactly does that look like. We speak about, one of the things we speak a lot about, and not just in Jamaica, we speak about the remittance. We speak about those who send money back to their families, to support their families, and at the same time, support with, in some situations, infrastructure. But, can we do more? So, one of the things I wanted to start off with is for those who are in the diaspora, and Marcia Jackson and Dr. Audie Cummins, please jump in. You both have a different type of relationship to Jamaica, yes? So can you just share, how do you actually connect and stay connected? I know you're both business owners, business entrepreneurs, and you both invest. How do you actually stay connected? And we're sharing some information with the audiences, and if you can let us know, how do you stay connected?
Yeah, sure. It's a very good question for myself. I'm a bishop, and I have globally over 200 churches that I oversight, and it literally grows daily. In terms of how I stay connected in an unusually unique way through those churches and their needs. And it is emergently how I came to view business as being a way in which churches were able to develop income streams to be able to develop and do the humanitarian things that they fulfill. So I stay in touch, business and holistically wise, through the way those churches are throughout throughout the world, even beyond Jamaica, and even in places where we possibly wouldn't expect Jamaicans to be, in places such as Africa, Ghana, and also India and Pakistan. And you would be amazed to know where Jamaicans find themselves. And also, as a management consulting practice, we find ourselves looking for commodities to be able to fulfill on our actual buyers and suppliers side. So that journey, is quite extensive.
Okay. And Master Jackson, I'll pose that question to you, and I want you to kind of emphasize why you left Jamaica in the last 10 years. Why is it that it's also important to stay connected with the communities and also in business?
Well, just a little bit of background about how I got back to the UK. I was born here. I was born in Bath, and my parents actually semi-retired and went back to Jamaica in the 70s. So I was raised in Jamaica. I lived in Grange Hill in Westmoreland. Don't know if we've got any Westmorelites in the house. But I went to Unity Primary, and I did my high schooling at Manning's High School. And when I came back to the UK when I was 19, I just couldn't fit in. It's a different culture, the Jamaican culture and the British culture, especially the Black British culture. It was very, very different for me. And I just really wanted to go back home. So in 1996, I went back to Jamaica, started a new career in IT training. The company that I was actually working for, we were very integral in rolling out computerizing Jamaica. And, and it's because I went back in my working life, I was the company, we went into all institutions from Bank of Jamaica to Guardian Life to NCB, all of the blue chip companies we trained. So because I had so strong contacts, when I came back to the UK, and I didn't come back because I wanted to, it was because I became ill. And a lot of our folks that are looking to go back to Jamaica, there's an issue, obviously for healthcare that, sometimes you end back in the UK. But it's when I came back to the UK, I saw and kind of found my purpose to use my knowledge about Jamaica to actually help the diaspora in any which way. And, so Candor Property Services actually gave birth, and I help people in purchasing property. I partner with Jamaican mortgage brokers and solicitors for conveyancing. And we help people also who want to now, there's a change in the way that people do business, want to create online businesses. And, so therefore, I stay connected in that I go back to Jamaica pretty much twice a year to look at developments, to help my clients find their dream home or their investment homes. And, serviced accommodation is a huge part of the property industry right now, and that is something that I help them with. So yeah, I'm pretty much connected with Jamaica pretty much.
Sorry about that. And so, one of the things that I've when I speak to the fellow Jamaicans, especially in the Middle East, is it's sometimes, I think you kind of touched on an element where it's sometimes it's very difficult especially when you've been away for a while to not just stay connected, but connect back into certain types of services. So in terms of what you spoke about in terms of the help, is that paramount in terms of supporting the diaspora? Is that so important to make sure that they're kept up to date and that help is there for when they want to make that transition back?
Yeah, I do believe that any opportunity to share the knowledge is very critical to the diaspora, because they've moved away. Things have changed. even through technology, the way now a lot of us can, who used to work and want to continue to contribute to your NHT, that's the National Housing Trust, which offers, sometimes interest-free loans or, lower interest rates. You can go online now and pay that. Whereas 10, 15 years ago, they didn't have that, service. So, yeah, it's really important that we share what we know to the diaspora.
Sorry, my internet's a bit weak. Sorry, my apologies. So when we speak about the remittance, I think it's about 20% of Jamaica's GDP. And Dr. Cummins, how important and significant is that in terms of remittance? Looking at what was the conversation around the value of the diaspora.
Yeah, certainly, because it's widely understood that the diaspora, those who are of Jamaican citizenship, I myself was born in the UK to Jamaican parents, and many of our money that we send back to help our families and to do business is sent through remittances. So that figure that you gave there contributes to a lot of what's tax going in and coming out, and is an effective way in which we're able to send economic support. And particularly where I used to be global ambassador for Black Links Global, and where I, as an ambassador, I'm dealing with 110 websites in 110 countries. And the actual owner is of Jamaican parentage as well. And the brains of that Black Links that he had bought from the original directory holders that had wanted to have a facilitation for people of Afro-Caribbean background to be able to present their businesses. And it's amazing to see how he has taken that on to a card that off those 110 websites, people are able to buy goods and services of any size that would suit their culture, their background, and their authenticity. And these are opportunities that are growing where we're able to have more of what we are used to in the countries that we reside. But also in regards to SOAD, which is also a government I'm a part of, which is the State of African Diaspora. The Prime Minister is of Caribbean origin, but also the two Vice Presidents are Jamaican. Okay. And one of the Vice Presidents who resides in Jamaica for SOAD, which is basically representative of 350 million Black people worldwide. And it shows the influence of Jamaicans in the diaspora being a part of this virtual government that is making significant differences that I've been able to appreciate with my co-interviewee in regards to property. And that's something that we're emergently getting into, the buying of land. So I know that many Jamaicans want to be able to go back and settle themselves down, even ones that might not have been born there, but they want to have that connection as the generations go on to Jamaica or may have properties in Jamaica. So that's something that we're trying to facilitate in the way of providing a service that can enable people to transact and to purchase land that is available, and also to purchase houses abroad and also in England as well. And looking at estate planning as well, which is something that we're not always looking at, even the clergy, which is dealing with the fact that, I may be speaking to you today, but what provision have I put in place to make sure that when I'm not here, that wealth is transferred in the most efficient manner, and is something that we need to look at generationally, and transitioning from that colonialistic mindset and having that mindset that I think Jamaicans are so amazingly able to do.
And so I would like to also ask Dr. Stanley Ford, and you can always, I would like you to also to join this conversation, please. And so, is it just more than remittance are we speaking about here in the diaspora's contribution? Because throughout the whole conference theme, there's also a running theme around investment and business. So what does it look like, and how how easy is it for the diaspora to set up business or to develop investment opportunities and vice versa within the country? Dr. Stanley Ford.
Thank you very much, Dana. But it's not doctor, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
It's Major Retired. I am a retired military officer.
My apologies, sir. My apologies.
No, that's quite okay. Yes. So I now live in Atlanta, in the USA. I retired from the JDF and worked out there for a few years after. And then in 2004, thereabout, we migrated to the US. I now live in Atlanta. I have always thought I had a passion for working with young people. And so about 2 years ago, I decided that I was going to reach out to a school in Jamaica to adopt a primary school in Jamaica. And so I made contact with the principal there, and we started a program. Now, I found that the principal was a very, very dynamic, very receptive to the whole idea of what I wanted to do. And it so happened that I started a program in February, or reached out in February, and she had just gone to the school the month before the takeover in January. And so we knocked heads together, and I asked her what would they need, the immediate needs for the student. And so she sent me a long list of things that they needed. And so I started to look around and got a number of barrels and so on, packed with books, all kind of school utensils, school items, from pencils to pens, everything that they would need. I got them a projector, etc. And then she said something very interesting to me, because she was just getting there. She wanted me also to address like her teachers. How could she reach the teachers who she was working with? Because she didn't feel that they were working together as a team as yet. And I guess drawing on my military experience where everything is teamwork, I gave her a few pointers, few tips and so on. And what I liked about her is that she actually does things or tried things that you suggest. But and so things started to improve. But the bottom line for me is that these young people are there. And most times, all I hear are people sort of criticizing the younger generation and what are they going to turn out to be, etc., in the primary schools. And my question to them usually is, so what have you done personally to help alleviate that? Nothing. So I decided that this had to stop. We had to put a positive spin on it. And I reached out to a number of people in Jamaica, people in different backgrounds, banking, some retired military people from pilots, and so on, and got them to go into the school to talk to the children, and just to help to motivate them. At the end of the day, after the first year and what is known as the PEP exam certification, the results came. That is the exam where it prepares them to go into the high school, right? And it was a tremendous turnaround from what was going on before. Some of the 39 people that were sent up, some 31 of them got certified to go into the high school. And so they went. So we could really see the difference being made. So here it is, a case where just one person from overseas deciding to reach out to a school in Jamaica in that way. So it's not just remittance, but in that way, making direct contact and helping them, through donations from persons and having people going to interact with them. But the important thing is that it must be structured and managed. And of course, I actually put in something where I could grade. So you grade the progress that was being made. So let's say after the first 6 months, and a grade for different things, interaction with one another, the students interacting with each other, better relationship, more recognition of law and order, that sort of thing. And we worked out that little matrix for them. And it's working. So I would say, yes, this is another way that for us who are overseas can help.
Thank you, sir. And just in terms of, the contributions and, and thank you very much for that example. And we're talking about young people as well. And so what are some of the things? I mean, because I've been fortunate enough to be able to travel and work in various parts of the world. And I always say young people doesn't matter what part of the world, right? But what are some of the specific needs, perhaps, in terms of connecting those in diaspora, young people who would like to go back to the place where their mothers and fathers or grandfathers come from? What? Because we're talking about knowledge transfer. We're talking about young people that are, for example, my parents came from Jamaica. My grandparents came from Jamaica. I was educated in Jamaica, and I remember when I was younger, England is this high unemployment. So with all that redundant skills that's left here, for example, in the UK, what kind of incentives could there be possibly to support younger generation to go back and invest their time and energy back into the home of their parents and grandparents? I'll throw that out to anybody.
Yeah, I think that the benefits for them to reach back and to make investments in Jamaica is quite an opportunity in their actual roots, because of course, no matter what, this is our origin. We're originally from Jamaica, and particularly now where Jamaica is gaining its independence and it's becoming independent of England in a more realist sense. When people are able to do this is something that they're able to help their children and their children's children to be able to practice. And this, of course, will be able to secure the future identity and strength of ambition that is needed within the diaspora. And that, to me, is not just the greatest family-wise, but also in a spiritual sense as well. So I think that's what is good. And this question is just having that sense of history, knowing this is where your parents came from. And many of them, when our parents came, they weren't really going to stay long. But of course, when they had us then and they had jobs, they stayed. But then we could be that actual ones that now can complete the job and go back and put down some roots. And this was something we were looking at on the task force for Jamaica. We were just trying to make sure that people were doing it in the most sensible and the most secure way. And just giving our time freely to be on the task force to be able to support people when going back to Jamaica, returnees.
Yeah, a couple of points that I want to make as well. Through COVID, the way that we do business is totally different. And we are seeing Caribbean countries inviting people from the diaspora and even non-diasporan people to go back to the Caribbean. I live in London, where rent for a one-bedroom property is like £1,600, but yet the average wage in London for a single person is £30,000. So now that the world has opened up, you can stay at home and work from home. What better place? Why would you not want to go to a Caribbean island and, be on, looking out on whatever scenery it is with your laptop and actually work and make the foreign exchange rather than going overseas? I'm actually working with the teachers that are coming over to the UK and helping them to find property and help them to kind of settle in the UK. And I asked them, why are you coming? Why are you coming to the UK where, there's a lot more opportunities in Jamaica? But I think because times have changed, and the way, the jobs that are there, they have changed. I mean, right now with digital marketing, you guys can, create an online course and you can deliver this training from the comfort of your home, right? So, we also have and I don't know whether Kwame McPherson is in the room, but we do have a large group of expats and repats that are going back to Jamaica, and they're carrying their knowledge and they're setting up businesses as well. And then the other segment that, I'm a Generation X. Baby boomers and Generation X, we are now retiring, okay? That's a whole load of knowledge, wealth of knowledge that we can go back to Jamaica. We, sometimes we hear people complaining, about the systems in the institutions, going to the bank, doing this and that. Why not go over and help? Sometimes it's not about money. It's about empowering our own to do better, So there is, when people ask me, should I invest in Jamaica? Definitely yes. There is so much opportunity if you're looking for it to do. And what is getting to me is that a lot of us are leaving, but the foreigners are going over and they are finding the opportunities and setting up businesses, and they are making millions from our country. Yeah. So, definitely there's, a lot more. And even I can't even talk about our stock exchange. We have businesses that you can buy into, they are the best. We're, in the last, I would say 5 years, we're in the top 5 best performing stock exchanges in the world, and I think, yes, it's one of the things that the Jamaica needs to do, or the institutions need to do, is to really kind of tell the diaspora how to invest in businesses, up and running startup businesses, long, outstanding businesses like Grace, and, we can buy shares in these companies and invest that way.
I'm gonna touch on a very sticky subject, yes, that the diaspora seem to speak about a lot as one of the major barriers, perhaps, of not going back home, if they consider Jamaica home, or in venturing into investment and business. And they speak a lot about the crime out there, and they say it's one of the biggest reasons why they don't go back. Anybody can discuss or elaborate, or yes, no, it's true, it's not true?
Well, crime is everywhere. I mean, I went back to Jamaica in 1996, and I lived in Red Hills Road, just down from 100 Lane, right? And I did not experience any crime, I mean, at the end of the day, it all depends on yes, you have to be aware of your surroundings and stuff, but there are people that are in Jamaica, they will never leave Jamaica because of the businesses. And we're talking about the 21 families that are there, the Issas, the Mahfoods, and all of those people. They ain't leaving because they see the opportunities are there. And I can tell you, I live in London, and at one point, Hackney was a place that you couldn't go to because of the crime and violence there. So for me, it's about just being aware of the situation and put stuff, put whatever you need to put into, to where, where you live. I mean, I suppose Mr. Ford may have something else to, other than that.
Before Mr. Ford jumps in, Jennifer, you was going to say something?
There is a hand up.
Yes.
It's not my hand though. You can go ahead. The person whose hand is raised, You can go ahead and ask your
if you-
question now,
If you
please.
may hold
Okay, for a few
Mr.
minutes.
Ford, Jennifer, sorry, the person who's raised their hands, would you like to come in on this aspect of the conversation?
Yes, I did put my name actually, but I will respond in
That
kind.
sounds a
Swami
very familiar
McPherson.
voice.
Swami McPherson.
All right, a couple of things that when it comes to especially that teasing issue about crime, and what a lot of people don't understand. A lot of the crime is localized, and when I say localized, I mean that it tends to be generational for one. It tends to be in a local area for two, or it tends to be areas against areas. So you tend to have gangs, of course, like anywhere else. So a lot of the crime tends to be tit for tat, and it's around a particular product like scamming or that else. So the general person going about the 9 to 5, or the person who's enjoying their life tends not to come across crime. You'll have random crime for sure, but majority of the time you won't. And I'm going to give you an example. I always use this example. I'm in Kingston. Now, Kingston, the capital. Now, Kingston is supposedly the place where a lot of crime takes place, which it does. Again, like I said, but it tends to be localized. So if you hear of a shooting, it tends to be somebody's going after somebody else because of whatever grievance they may have. Every single night in Kingston, the capital, every single night, bar none, from Sunday to Monday, Monday to Sunday, there's something happening in terms of an event. Whether it's a party, whether it's a dance, whether it's a clubbing, whatever it is. And I can guarantee to you, and this is all over the capital, I can guarantee to you that they are packed. Now, if crime was such an issue, especially in a place like that, people always talk about Kingston, how bad Kingston is. If crime was such an issue, people wouldn't be going out. So the reality is, on the ground, people are enjoying them life same way. That there is a crime, there's a crime issue, especially over in the West, because scammers have now been, they're now being persecuted, they're now being charged, they're now being deported, and they're under pressure. So there's a lot of problems in the West because of that, because the criminals have migrated from Montego Bay to Westmoreland. But in essence, the other thing which I will also say, in terms of what is happening in regards to crime, not in terms of the social support that needs to happen, but in regards to crime, in terms of the policing and the sophistication of how the police have now been transformed into a much more proactive policing force than whereas before they were reactive. So the present administration has made the biggest investment in sorry about the noise outside. I was in some building work go on. Yeah. So the present administration, so I'm going to be quick. The present administration had made the most investment in the Jamaica Constabulary Force as well as the military, more than any administration put together. And because of that, the police are more sophisticated. So they are now starting to see, even though the dents that are being made in crime is trending downwards, not as much as we would like, but it's going downwards. The other thing I would also say is that in the life history of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, it has never had a full complement of staff. Right now, at this point in time, the Jamaica Constabulary Force has the full complement of staff, so they're able to even have beat police on the streets in particular areas. So if you go downtown Kingston, if you went into Port Antonio, if you went to Orchard Negril, you have beat police or community police now actually walking the street. So there are elements of where people can be concerned about crime, yes, but I would also say a lot of it is fear and perception. A lot of it is about fear and perception. A lot of it is because we are the ones who go out and narrate about crime more so than the people who are actually impacted by crime, which, like I said, it tends to be localized and tends to be in a particular area. And it tends to be based on the back of people having grievances or people having some sort of angst with somebody else, or gang warfare, which is happening for sure on the ground. But like I said, I live in Kingston, and I can tell you, I came in 3-4 o'clock this morning, and I did not feel intimidated or fearful. And I've got girlfriends who have done the same thing, and they have not felt fearful or any way of going home by themselves after partying. So and that's a personal experience. I can talk about that. So that is regards to crime, that is my input.
Thank you. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you for your contribution. And as I'm winding down now, there's one other element I want to also touch on. I know I think it's important for us to have these kind of platforms, to have these honest conversations, because some of these conversations are actually really happening outside of these platforms. And then when you go to these conferences, everything sounds all fantastic, sounds good, but reality is there's other things, there's underlying issues that are still being said, but it's not necessarily being brought forward to the platform. And one of them, for example, I'll tell you a little story before I'm going to put a little context to this. Now, when I was growing up in the UK, I no longer reside in the UK, but when I was growing up in the UK, this is back in the 70s, 80s, it was a situation where you aligned yourself to the place of the country your parents were from or your grandparents. So even though I was born in the UK, as far as we was concerned, we were Jamaicans. It wasn't British, Black British and all those other titles you now see now, you were just Jamaican. And the community in the UK, they embrace that, whether you're in London, Bristol, Sheffield, Derby, Birmingham, man, you were just Jamaican. There wasn't any other title. But what now happens, yes, is that when you now go back home, as far as you're saying, you're foreign. Can anybody answer to that?
Well, as I said, I went back to Jamaica when I was 32. And I tell you something, no matter how bad you talk and how you dress the way that they dress, they know that you come from foreign. And it's the things that you do. I would stand up in a line, in a queue. Nobody does that back home. I'm just waiting for the bus. Nobody's doing that. So, of course, they're looking at you. Oh, yeah, you're English, right?
Yeah.
So they just know. They just know.
But then how important then, is then not just going back in terms of the knowledge transfer or sending money back. How important is going back to just to be back and be part of the community and understanding the culture and everything? How important is that aspect then in terms of the diaspora? And I'd like Dr. Cummings to come in on this part of the question, please.
Yeah, I think that the psyche, the diaspora psyche is very, very important. And you talked about that difference. And I remember speaking to somebody who was born in Jamaica and they were living maybe here for about 20 years. And he says, look, if you leave Jamaica for an hour, you turn a foreigner. And so it's interesting that he makes that point, because I think what it is, at the same time, when I've been in Jamaica, I've met people that have never left the island. And, but I think those who leave the island, there are, stories that are good. There are stories that are challenging. But I think as technology makes the world flat, as it were, we are interacting, and we all like to do business with people that we feel comfortable with. We'll gravitate towards people that we feel comfortable with because they're familiar with your values. And even though, Diana, you're living where you are, I sort of know you from North London, and I know when I'm speaking to you, there's a lot I don't have to say because you're familiar with London and what happens there. But now you're diaspora, you're also familiar where you are there in Dubai, and you have a paradigm for Jamaica. And I think this is what is key. Even well-known. I remember I had a friend's parents, and they were both professors, and they were white Americans. And they said to me, Audie, do you know that Jamaicans are the most hardworking immigrants that come to New York? And it was, white sort of learned professors that drew that to my attention. And I know that we always used to have a lot of in-depth conversations, probably more so than even I would have with the children who are my age. And just sort of putting that in with people that were American and lived here, because London is very international, and you will find almost every actual culture and every country that is represented here. And even to an extent, when you're dealing with investment or you're dealing with, being in London, it's like you can't get away from having a head office in London. If you're going to be global, you've got to have a head office in London. But at the same time, when we look at our parents and when they came to England, are fully aware of the difficulties that still exist within certain ways. So we're comfortable doing business and exchanging communication because people understand, as it were, what time it is in regards to routines, the perceptions, and you end up gravitating back to those who have an understanding of you and what you're trying to achieve. Because, of course, that also, those cultural norms might not be, you might not find our people in particular industries. There's multiplicity of industries, but many of our people go into certain industries. And so, there are so many grounds that need to be broken where Jamaicans are able to move into and do business and make it easier for those who come behind. But also we're looking at the diaspora, meaning that you have the ability, because you have a citizenship here in the UK, UK, but you also have citizenship in Jamaica. And so that means for investment, it's important because people that are in Jamaica can work with those who have a citizenship here that can apply for funding and can apply for foreign investment, or can better represent us to the government in basically in London than would our own. Because I remember even having a lecture, and this particular lecturer, he was quite senior in age, and he was somebody who was a supervisor for doctorate dissertations in law, and he was saying that he has a grandfather that is Irish, and because he has a grandfather that is Irish, he has a sort of empathy with Irish, and every time he reads something about Ireland, he feels, you know, that link, and he just feels that connection. And I think that's what it is when you know that your parents are from Jamaica or you're born in Jamaica, you have that connection, and it's that connection that is there that enables us to want to do business with people that have that connection, because, you know, all of the it makes it easier to get things done. And it's now a level playing field where it's now about performance as opposed to looking like an outsider, sounding like an outsider, etc. Because sometimes people might hear you speak and then they might be surprised the way you look. And you know, at the end of the day, it's about the paradigms, you know, and how progressive people are in their thinking. And so we may have to try a lot harder. Even our graduates, only 30% of them will find work living in the UK. And so I think more of those stories need to go back to people in Jamaica to understand, look, as soon as you touch down here, it's not everything is roses. You basically are going to have to fight, sometimes even harder. Whereas when you're in Jamaica, the bank manager is black, the prime minister is black. But here in England, that's not always represented. But I think if you traveled a lot when you're younger, your parents, you know, you had that opportunity, you can use that to your advantage. And you can also be more ambitious to make that reflection the way we know capability and performance and attitude can be able to do.
As we close out, Mr. Ford, you would like to add to this?
Yes, just a quick one. And having listened to the two previous speakers, Jamaicans living, I've always said, for example, living here in the US, I think you see the Jamaican flag more than any other country flag in the world, apart from the US flag. It's the US flag and then the Jamaican flag. Jamaicans might be living here in the US for 100 years, but they are still Jamaican. If you go to a Caribbean store, the first flag you see out there is the Jamaican flag. It's a Caribbean store, mark you. And of course, driving around, you see all the flag, Jamaican restaurant. My little sister, she was just down in Key West, and she sent a picture and said, look what I found here, a Jamaican restaurant. We're always identifying with Jamaica. And so when persons, let's say, return to Jamaica, how they are actually received down there, it's a kind of personal thing. It's a matter of your interaction with the Jamaicans that you come in contact with. And sometimes you just have to spend the time explaining certain things to them. Don't take it for granted, you know. That they know everything, they understand what's happening between the persons in the diaspora and themselves, the relationship. Right now, as I speak, there are a number, probably a few hundred Jamaican ex-soldiers who are just about to wrap up 1 week of activities there in Jamaica. They put together this thing they call muster and decided that all the ex-soldiers living abroad, and we have some coming in from Dubai, from the UK, Canada, US, all met up in Jamaica with the present serving members of the JDF, and they were just having a blast down there. And also meeting with the civilian population. And, you know, so that interaction is there, and the desire for such interaction is there. As the doctor mentioned about the bankers being white and so forth, or being black. I ran into two people, two foreigners down in Jamaica a couple of weeks ago when I was there. And that was one of the things that impressed them. One was a white guy from Wyoming, I think, and the other was from Africa, but living in the States for ever so long. He said the things that impressed them, or they said the things that impressed them, was to see Jamaicans in charge, Jamaicans running things, people, black people running and managing things. The fellow from Wisconsin said, you know, he was never exposed to that before. And in the end, they both are crazy in love with Jamaica. They want to go back. They want to invest in Jamaica. And so we're now exploring some of that. So a lot of it has to do with that kind of personal interaction. Now we mentioned about the younger people living in the let's say the US and maybe in the UK. Many of them at this stage in their life might not want to go back because they are still establishing themselves in wherever they're living, whatever country, Canada, US, UK. However, we find that the older people in the US here who are now retired, and I guess the same in the UK, they are expressing more desire to go back and to retire out there and to interact, you know, with their Jamaicans who they were familiar with when they were growing up. The younger generation, as I said before, they will need a little more coaxing, and the systems, the things will have to be put in place to encourage them to come back and be comfortable there. By that I mean being able to find employment and being, you know, assimilated into the environment there as easily as possible.
And thank you, sir, for that. And I would like to take the last question from Mr. McPherson before we wrap up this segment.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's not a question actually. It's more or less like a statement in regards to a couple of things. Stanley, you know Devon Harris? He was an ex-soldier, Jamaican Olympian for bobsleigh team.
Yes, I know Devon quite well. I was his commanding officer at one stage.
Okay, all right. Because I did a session with him with the ex-soldiers and serving soldiers in regards to depression. So I just let you know that there's some soldiers stuff like that. I did a workshop with them. But anyway, moving on. A couple of things. The thing is, in regards to returnees, what I will say, being on the ground and seeing and being a part of a number of returnee organizations and expat organizations, the demographics has changed, it's shifted.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's a lot more younger people who are making it back. And even when I say young, I mean like even in the 20s. I had a discussion today of a young person in a early 30s who's looking to come back to Jamaica. There are pathways where that people can actually get their citizenship and passport. I think Grace has a program called Birthright program that Grace supports. And Grace encourages young people, third, fourth, fifth generation to check out their birthright and to become Jamaican citizens. There are a lot of repats making it back to Jamaica.
All right. Diana, we do have to move on.
Okay.
These persons are also in our group on WhatsApp. You can reach out to all of these persons. They're in the community, and you can reach out to them for consultations, for coaching, and for other services as we expand, as we build wealth. Go ahead, Diana.
And no, I would just like to say my apologies, Mr. McPherson. I know I've got actually run over time, but just to say thank you to Dr. Cummins, Mrs. Marcia Jackson, Mr. Stanley Ford, and of course yourself, Mr. Kwame McPherson. Even though he did not introduce himself, yes, he has a very global accolade, actually. And I just want to say thank you to you, sir, for coming on board. I know you have a busy schedule, and just to say what you there's a big award you won recently, sir. Could you just say, Mr. McPherson, before we wrap up?
Yeah,
I thought we want to celebrate the diaspora. We need to.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So last year,
show your face, really, Michael. I think you should show your face.
I should show my face. Oh boy! All right. We just get up. Yeah. So last year, the Commonwealth Short Story Prize, which is one of the most prestigious writing prizes in the world, I was able to win for the Caribbean region. The 6th Jamaican to win it for the Caribbean region, and I'm the first Jamaican to win it internationally. So,
Wow.
yeah. So
Thank
So
you.
Diana, I want to
Congratulations.
sharing that.
Congrats.
thank you.
Congrats.
And
Thank you.
and
Thank you. Thank you.
you know, it's so important as we wrap up now
Congratulations.
to share this information and to have some real conversations around this conversation about the value and it's about coming together because you know Jamaica has an amazing history, and you know even on the rooftops of the mountains in the Upper Hebrides, they know
Yes,
about
we do.
Jamaica.
Yes, we do.
Are you
Right? They
outside the
know about Jamaica
Jamaican?
all over the world.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
It's now about we're moving into a new era now. And it's
Yes.
about bringing and connecting the diaspora back home and back home to the diaspora. This is
Yeah,
what
and can I just add before we disappear? Sir Ardy, my apologies, sir. I should have picked you up from time because you and I go way back.
Yeah, that's on you. Good to see you. Congratulations.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Making it. Yeah.
So-
bless up, body. Bless
I
up,
just
bless
want
up,
to
bless
say
up.
thank you to you. I want to say thank you to you all, and thank you, Jennifer, for allowing us to host this segment. And I think we will just close out there. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for
As
having
we
us.
said before, we have a community on WhatsApp. We can continue this conversation, and this community was formed just to offer support for our women, for our men out there who want to launch out into entrepreneurship, who want to build their businesses, who want advice. We have our consultants in the group. Reach out to them today for help. Thank you so much again for joining us for this section. Thank you, Diana, for hosting this session. Thank you so much. Again, welcome to our Hope Conference, Building Wealth for Women and Men in Jamaica, because this is where we are focusing on right now. Our Jamaicans abroad and at home need help, need support. And we have consultants, we have coaches, we have persons here who are well able to provide that help. At this time, we're going to be opening the floor for just 2 minutes for some entrepreneurs who are in the house at this time to promote their businesses. We'll be giving you 2 minutes to do that. So Mr. Wheeler is here. Are you ready, Mr. Wheeler? You can now have 2 minutes to promote your business. And who else do we have here who needs this opportunity? One other entrepreneur? Yes.
Are you seeing me, Jennifer?
Mr. Coburn. Yes, I'm not seeing you at all, Mr. Wheeler.
You're not seeing me?
I'm not seeing you at all.
Video is on, but I'm not sure why you're not seeing me.
Do you need to share your screen or anything, or
No,
you-
no, no. I'm just going to
you just go ahead
gonna
and speak
talk.
then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why the video isn't showing though. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed
Good morning.
people. I've been listening for some time and the conversation is very rich. Yes. Like Jennifer said, wealth of knowledge in persons from different cross sections on this conference. And yes, indeed, like she said, persons need assistance. And I heard Dr. Cummings it was that spoke about persons bashing young people and not sharing their knowledge and their information, which is so true. Because yes, we know the younger generation, they have their hiccups, but if we, can't put myself in that category because I'm still in the working class. But if information is not shared, if they are not mentored, yes, then what continuity will we have in our country going forward? So that is a very important and integral part that the older folks, persons who are more learned, have the wealth of experience, need to share with our youngsters so that our legacy can, be continued. So my name is Vassal Wheeler, as Jennifer would have said. I'm a teacher by profession. I've been in the profession for over 15 plus years. However, I'm also an entrepreneur. I am an independent travel advisor. Our parent companies, Planet Marketing and IntelliTravel. Planet Marketing facilitates the network aspect, and IntelliTravel the travel aspect. Now, the business that I'm in is a family business. So myself and my wife and my son, all of us are partner to develop and grow this business. Yes. So what we do is we book travel for persons anywhere across the world that you'd want to go. IntelliTravel has been in the travel arena for over 30 years. It's a US based company. So too, Planet Marketing Network marketing company has been around for eight plus years. Name of our business is Mahia Travel Services. So if you want to travel to Jamaica, anywhere across the world, whether it be doing travel by air, by land, by sea, we can book you, reach out, and we'll be more than happy to assist you in planning that dream vacation, that you would have or want. We also offer US visa applications. Yes, we do tours, hotels, Airbnbs, different stuff. Yes, so like Jennifer said, I'm also in the community. So if it is that these are services that you would want to access, you can always reach out, and I'd be happy to assist, like I said before. Thank you very much, Jennifer, for this opportunity to share. Yes, and looking
Thank you,
forward to
Mr.
more
Coburn.
conferences, because trust me,
Yes.
I've learned a lot from just being in this session this morning. Thank you again, and blessings to you all.
Thank
Yes,
you.
this is our third Hope Conference. We had our first conference in China, then we had one in the UK, and now we're in Jamaica, and we're going global because we see the need to have these conversations around building wealth for women, for men, and not just financial wealth, but spiritual, emotional, mental, social, and generational wealth. And so welcome again, and it's great to have you. And the conversation is really rich, and we're going to be inviting other entrepreneurs at this time. If you want 2 minutes to share, you can go ahead. 2 minutes to share. And of course, you can post your information in our WhatsApp group, because this is not the end. This is just the beginning of this relationship. We are opening the WhatsApp group. You can promote your work. You can reach out to our consultants and coaches, and we are here to assist you. You do not have to do it alone. You have the support you need. Mrs. Coburn, I see that your microphone is open. You can go ahead.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Yassine Simpson Coburn. I'm originally from St. Thomas, Jamaica, and currently reside currently reside in the US, Jacksonville, where I'm working as a variant exceptionality teacher. What that involves in teaching kids with exceptionalities. I would not say disabilities, because disabilities sometimes so stigmatize, student with exceptionalities. I'm so passionate about teaching my students, which motivate me to create this book, The Art and Craft of Teaching Boys to Read, because I realized that over the years, the students that were coming to me are mostly boys, and I was curious about how do boys learn? Why did we're having so much boys unable to read? So as a result of that, I actively engage in a research and the different ways of teaching boys, and just to get the scientific evidence as to how boys' brain develop, as well as what are some of the contributing factors that affect boys, why they are not able to read, especially those we classify as learning disabilities. And when we talk about the students with learning disabilities, especially boys, we are looking at the invisible disabilities. All right, so that invisible disability. So I realized that having learning disability is not a visual problem. It's a reading or a language-based disability. And as such, and not only that, what I also discover is that learning disability, especially those who are classified as dyslexic or dyslexia, they have average to above average intelligence. And when we look at those type of kids, those are the type of kids that get involved in scamming and all sorts of criminal activities, because the education system are not challenging those systems. Students enough, they're not putting the system in place, especially because normally when students are unable to read, that behavioral problems expected. And for me, how I tackle those kind of issue, I have to do constant research be more intentional into my approach in teaching boys, because the sit and get approach won't work when you come in the classroom. When you're talking about boys are more kinesthetic, they are more visual, so also they are more musical inclined. And in that particular research, you see different factors contribute to that affects reading, such as family structure, family societal condition, the socioeconomic status, as well as you have genetic factors such as what in terms of inside the brain, what developed first in boys, because when I did my research, I realized it's the right side of the brain for boys more developed rapidly, which is not consist of language, right? So girl more developed on the left side, which consists of language process. So girls are always ahead of talking more than boys. They are 18 months ahead of, when it comes to talking, they are more verbal. Boys are less verbal, as I stated before. And I realized that there's no specific center of reading when it comes to the brain. It takes a connection of different things, and multisensory approach, that is what I use, because that is universal when it comes to teaching, because it connects the different senses in order for children to read, especially boys. Also, in that book, there is multiple instruction strategies, such as differentiated instruction. Yeah, you have as I said, multisensory instruction. I also have explicit systematic phonics instruction, because it's reading you're talking about. And you also have technology, or I utilize technology to enhance learning, as well as games for me, because games is help with retention skills. Because what I realized that my students were at the pre-primary, even below pre-primary level, they were lagging behind. So as a result, I do intensive instructional research to help those kids, and my kids were very successful in that when they were mainstream, they went ahead and passed their performance tasks. So, and I was an excellent teacher, because I got a recognition from Ministry of Education for my works, and that is all I decided to share my knowledge to teach, because I know many educators in Jamaica have difficulty when it comes to teaching kids with exceptionalities, especially when they are in the regular classroom. And I'm in for inclusive education, because many times their teachers will say, children with special education, you can't teach them curriculum, but you can teach them the curriculum. It's just that you have to use what you call differentiated instruction tier models, that is the different tier, because tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, and that incorporate a lot of data. You can't teach special education students without having your data, because you'll have to use data to drive those instruction where they fall short, what phonological gaps they are experiencing, especially when they are labeled as ADHD, learning disability, intellectual disability. So as a result of those instrumental strategy, I compose my book with all of that. And also I have motivational strategy in that book, which talk about the if-then statements, or to get them to read, the visual management schedule, which you have to use a lot of with consistent, so you have to model a lot of procedure and routine, task analysis, right? Or to break down those skill concepts, as well as I also utilize check-in, check-out, but I also use that with fidelity, because you can't use check-in and check-out without having the data with it in terms to address behavioral problems. And for me, I always have different behavioral strategies, self-monitor if it's individual. If I see that his behavior is more extreme, I use a self-monitoring strategy. If I see that it's a class management schedule, I use check-in and check-out group, because it can use for control group as well. So those are what I utilize. Those are research-based proven strategies. They are effective and also can utilize on a wide scale. And
Thank
also,
you so much. Mrs. Simpson, you can put the link for your book in the chat, and you're also in the WhatsApp group. Okay. So you can find her, you can buy her book, please.
Yes.
And she's on my virtual book tour. Yes. You have
so
one
thank
minute, Mrs. Simpson. Go ahead.
Okay. Continue. I'm to continue.
Yes, you have 1 minute to wrap up, please.
Okay, so imploring you to buy to my book. You will not you see the different what I did with my students. I'm still doing in the US as well, and how to tackle especially boys with behavioral problem. What are some of the next steps if classroom not the school-wide based approach not working? You use a positive support behavior plan, and if that's support behavior plan not working, you utilize an FBE. An FBA is what is called functional behavior assessment, which target the specific behavior. So that is what all my book about. It's more skill-based, understand the difference of how boys learn. It's integrated as well as instructional, and it's inclusive. So that is it for me. Thank you for having me, Jennifer Harris. I really appreciate this platform.
Thank you so much. And again, Mrs. Simpson Coburn is an author, educator. She is well versatile, well decorated. You can find her in our WhatsApp group. And of course, you can purchase her book from there. Thank you, Mrs. Coburn. At this time, we're going to be inviting one of our speakers, a dynamic woman, a dynamic lady who's associated with the Friends of Autism. Karen Blake is a dedicated problem solver and optimist with significant roles in both professional and civic spheres. She is the executive chairman and founder of Friends of Autism Jamaica and the creator of the Autistic Vibe e-magazine. With a rich background in community leadership, she now serves as a Justice of the Peace for Jamaica. Professionally, she is a certified insurance and investment advisor at Guardian Life Limited, helping families build wealth. Known for her inspiring keynote speeches, her mantra is optimist, focused on solutions. Please welcome Miss Karen Blake, our conference speaker. Thank you for coming to join us today. And we are so excited to hear about investments and how we can build financial wealth. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you for having me. All right, so this morning I am just going to speak with you regarding investment and particularly how beneficial it is for women, to be on that playing field where we are making ourselves financially independent. Also, I will introduce to you my foundation, Friends of Autism Jamaica. All right, I am a financial advisor with Guardian Life Limited. That's an insurance and financial company in Jamaica, where we seek to provide different financial instruments that offer protection for everyone in the family. Now today, as it pertains to investments, it is very important, right? And also as a woman, we know we hold several different roles in society. As women, we are caregivers at points, whether we are mothers or we take care of our extended family. We do need that safety, that financial safety. Sometimes we might have to take a period of time to ourselves or to our children and so forth. And we might have been working, but we'd have to stop for a period of time. But we still would need money to work for us, right? Take, for instance, a new mom. You might take a few months off from work, or you might take a few years off from work. No, you don't want to leave it up to chance that your future is being taken care of. Now, because you're at home, it doesn't mean that you're not to put something away for yourself and for your future. So that is why we want to look at investing as a woman. Investing, it is different from saving. When we speak of investments, we think of long-term, right? We think of putting something away that will grow over a period of time. When we think of savings, we look at a more short-term accumulation. right? And you do not necessarily get a return on that money. You're saving, it's not necessarily going to be compounded. But when you're investing over a period of time, you are going to be seeing returns on that money that you would have initially put in place for investments. Are you hearing me? Okay,
Loud and
good.
clear. Thank you so
All
much.
right.
We are. Go ahead.
Okay, yes. Now, in today's society, I want to think that women, in particularly, we have grown so much. We have evolved into different leadership positions. We're not just seen as stay-at-home moms. You know, even moms who are at home with kids, they are doing online stuff. They're starting their businesses from home, becoming entrepreneurs, right? And that is wonderful. But we also need to think about, yes, we're making money, but how are we putting away that money to work for us in the future? Because it's not about what you're making now, it's about what you're doing with that money. How is that money working for you? So that in the long run, in the future, you can see certain assets being gained. You can see you're being able to relax in your retirement age, right? You don't want to have to look to your children to assist you with retirement. You would have been able to invest in some money so that later on that money works for you. Now, how many of us can say that we've been doing that so far? You don't need to start with a great magnitude. You can start with even $1,000. You can use it to purchase a stock. You can start with $5,000. Start, that's the important thing. You start, right? Once you've started and you're seeing the returns on that money, I've seen where persons have become so invested that they start putting more, right? They start putting more and they're seeing where the returns on that money, it has helped them to actually attain certain things, right? Now, there are different aspects of investing. You can invest in, let's say, the stock market, right? You can employ the services of a financial advisor who will help you to purchase different units on the stock market. You can also invest in real estate. The real estate market is booming right now. Real estate is a long-term investment. You can either purchase, let's say you purchase a house and you use that house to be your retirement plan. So you rent it. The money that you're earning from the renting from that house, that's an investment, right? And you can use it and then turn over on it. So real estate is always good. Persons purchase. You can purchase land, you can purchase units, so forth. Investing on the real estate market is a good option. Also, you can purchase on the stock market. You can purchase blue chips. You can purchase an investment plan. Here at Guardian Life, we have several options, right? So we have long-term investment options where you'd want to give yourself 10-year period before you look at touching that investment. Now, that's a long-term investment. It speaks to putting away something for your pension, for your retirement. A lot of persons who live abroad, a lot of my clients who they are Jamaican nationals, but they're living abroad, they're working abroad, they take out these investment policies and it works for them over time. So they know that when they return to Jamaica for their retirement, because they plan on living out the rest of their life in Jamaica, they know that they have those investment policies out here, right? So they don't have to be starting from scratch. So each month they will send their premiums and they pay on their policy, right? When you pay on that policy, it goes into the savings as well as a bit of life insurance is attached to it, right? So those are options that persons can look forward to, because as I said before, it's not about how much you work, right? It's not about how much you're earning. Yes, you're earning money today, but are you putting aside money for tomorrow? So that's what we want to look at. You're earning over there. If you're in the US, Canada, UK, you're earning. What are you putting aside today to earn to work for you for tomorrow and the years to come? Okay. I am gonna ask if there is anyone who has any question, you can always type it in the chat and I can answer some questions for you as it pertains to investments and possibly finding out about our investment products at Guardian Life.
If you have any questions at this time about investing in stocks, bonds,
Jennifer?
anything, you can go ahead and ask now. Okay, so Mrs. Blake is also in our community. You can reach out to her if you need advice. She has posted her cards in the chat, in the WhatsApp group. You can contact her for additional information regarding investing in stocks and bonds.